Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Making Better Track Show. You heard? I'm joined here once again by the great content creators, the great YouTubers. Give it up for civildaysmusic in the house. Give it up for Daysun right now. Yeah, that's right. We are Stream Voltron up in here. Give it up to Dccarsonmusic. And I am your host, Khalif Wins. Welcome to the Make Better Track Show. This is a show for music creators, producers, as well as artists where we discuss a variety of topics. But here's the difference between all three of our individual brands as we come together. It is to provide solutions and great conversation. If you have something to add to the conversation, please put it in the comments. We would love to respond to it. Today's show, I know you saw the thumbnail. Why are old head producers and younger producers always fighting? Again, I repeat, why are old head producers and younger producers always fighting? It's a useless exercise. Let me get directly to the topic at hand. My stream is streaming. Let it stream. All right, here we go. I'm going to go to this right now. Let's go. Old head producers versus younger producers. Why are we fighting? Let's check this out. All right, let me just do the screen. I saw this tweet. We'll talk about this on the back end. Pause. I saw this tweet from Pete Rock. He says they are resampling rap and R&B records that was made only 3 to 4 years ago. No digging for the hits when they sampling what was already a hit recently. He says, LOL. Somebody responded, Q-Tip sampled Jade for A Tribe Called Quest while it was still new and both songs are classic. Dilla was flipping D'Angelo and Stereolab records that just dropped on some of his best work. Rapper's Delight only came out 2 months after Good Times. It's literally been since day one. Pete really just says anything sometimes. For a lot of these older cats, self-inflicted rage is the dietary requirement. Wow. Woof. This is nothing new. Good Times was released in 78, 79. Rapper's Delight was released in 1980. LL Cool J took an in vogue song for Boom and System. It couldn't have been 2 years old at the time. P Rock responded, that's true, but it's only one song. We were creating natural hits. We didn't do that to death or make a style or a trend of it. It only tells me producers can't make a natural hit record. They let real hit makers do the work for them instead of coming up with an idea no one heard from before. That's always happened. Dilla even sampled Tawate for Find a Way, and that was only a couple years before. But that's technically obscure. We're talking about mainstream artists sampling mainstream artists, not that far apart and doing little to make it their own. Does it matter? The new era mostly do nothing out of love for clout and notoriety. That's personal opinion. They participation trophy babies. Wow. Listen, first of all, grammar. That's all I'm gonna say. This guy says they put on a quick butt and they're not trying to make music that outlives them. Social media changed the dynamics to all things. It's sad. Sampling a recent hit just seems lazy. Let a song be for 20 years and then do something unique with it for you to use. Otherwise, it sounds like karaoke, but you change the lyrics. Guys, it's 10 times harder to get something cleared from back then to now. MFers back then barely even owned their masters, meaning you would jump through hoops just to get samples cleared because it's not up to the artist anymore. Newer samples are way easier to get cleared, literally. Lil' Kim released Queen Bee in 1996. Mary J. Blige released I Can't Love You and features Kim on it the very next year. This is from y'all era, by the way. That's true, but it wasn't nearly as prevalent as the laziness of today's music attempts. And this guy posted the Nas lyric from the Nas Kingdom of These Three album. I wonder why Pete Rock would act like that. That type of behavior makes me give rap right back. Wow. Woof. Old heads just be mad they're not young anymore. This younger producer posted, you decided to collab with an old head producer and he puts on a boom bap beat. They use the same drum loops over and over again. Better than using a loop for every part of the beat. And it's not like they had access to the technology we have today, so there wasn't as many opportunities. It's like throwing rocks in a glass house. You can't call out loops if you're doing the same thing in a different form. That is actually a fact. This young producer put, you let the old head book a session in the studio. A younger producer says, point of view, I tell a group of old head producers using loops is not cheating. My homie Bolo, I don't know him yet, but I will. We are looking forward to it. When the old head is trying to explain why he took a break from his music career. Old heads don't understand that today's rap music is more about the vibe of the beat and the flow the artist uses instead of lyrics and storytelling. That's actually a fact. A lot of classic samples from that time were songs that they were classes that to their parents, so I don't see why it's a problem for people to do the same. I think it's cool, but I don't respect to buy loops off the internet, go out with yourself and dig for something rare and make something new. That's the new digging, bro. We'll talk about that in the back end. I feel like it's corny to hate on art. That is the best comment that I saw regarding this conversation. 100% anyone barking on youngins for sampling recent tracks or on that cat BS. They need to mind their business. That's a fact. We'll discuss it on the back end. And here is Young Guru's statement from a while back, and it's relevant now. He said, in 1994, we sampled records that were 20 years old from 74. Please stop critiquing the youth for sampling records that are from 2000 or even the 90s. Let the youth be the youth. You 50 trying to argue with a 20-something-year-old. That is a fact. Stop it. And let's get to the show. I am Khalif Wins. I'm the host of the morning. Sorry about this. Whoa, I've been doing a lot of shows back to back. I'm the host of the Make It Better Track Show. I'm joined here with the content creators and YouTubers, Dccarsonmusic, civildaysmusic, otherwise known as Daysun. Go to my description. Follow them now. Support their brands. Support their channels. Support creators of color making great change in conversations. Now, I'm going to get to solutions. Before I get to the solutions that I created, fellas, number one, how's your day going? How's your week been? And then tell me about how you felt about all that information I laid out, because I had to get it off on the top. And for anybody that's watching, if you have commentary, we're looking for constructive critique. We're actually not even that. We're just looking for constructive solutions. This, like, again, I'm Khalif Wins. I'm a solutions-based content creator. I'm also joined by solutions-based content creators, Dccarsonmusic and Civil Days Music. Support their brands now. Fellas, how are you? Talk to me.
All right. Well, what's up? Hey, I'm doing great. Just your quick plug in there. Shameless Dccarsonmusic, Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. We're gonna talk about different. Actually, we talk about things like this. Frank and I do, but also plan to put content out there so you can take those discussions like the show after the show, or just some different things that I see online or people are talking about. I'm doing fantastic, great. Just getting my studio straight and then getting into the video, because I realize I might be good on music, but I'm still learning this video game. But I'm gonna hit this topic real quick. All right, and my cliff notes before we get into the full dissertation laid out is that it's art. Why are we arguing art? That's just the way I see it. Is that I might have preferences, but like, why are we arguing art? Is it creative? Does it do some stuff? Now, I got some things on how approach and mindset and headspace. We can talk about that in a moment. But that's just the bottom line up front. Why are we arguing art? But I will say this to younger folks. Be mindful that in this information age, because we didn't have this. Like when I grew up, you were lucky to have an encyclopedia that was 5 years old. All right, and y'all probably know what that is. So understand, in the information age, yes, you guys have access to more, but understand this: information is free and knowledge is free, but wisdom will cost you. So don't be so quick to push us older cats away, because we've seen things and there ain't nothing new under the sun. So you got to blend both of them. So Daysun, how about you, brother?
What's up, everybody? Daysun Civil, Civil Days Music. You can check me out on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, things of that nature. I'm definitely working on the things you didn't know about music series. I got my MPC versus the Machine Plus series. Got a lot of things going on. I'm about beat making. I'm about, using business rationale, because, we're trying to make this out of an extra career, or at least take our hobbies and turn it into a business. So I'm about giving people wisdom, wise counsel, and things like that. So you can check me out there, sound kits and all that type of stuff coming.
I'm loving this, by the way, from both of you. I'm just gonna say, I'm loving this. I'm not gonna hold you. This is beautiful. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, you can check me out on Gumroad. All the links in the description.
Everything's in the description, y'all.
I gotta quote one of my favorite rappers. He said, "Rap is an art. You don't own no loops. Is how you hook them up in the rhyme style troop." So, and that's Guru from Gangstar. I'm sorry. I'm a teacher, and I see the divide. And I think the divide is deliberate. I often joke, and I tell people about, I'm not trying to, because there's a certain network I criticize because when you watch their TV shows, the children run the household. And I'm like, this is indicative of how people think society is supposed to be today. And I'm like, no, I'm old school. I run the household. My wife runs the household, not the children. So like, it's hard to get into the schools, and it's hard to do things with like from a parent perspective. So the children develop their own way of thinking because it's like a pack mentality. You put a bunch of dogs together. The dog that was a wimp now is going to think they're tough, and they're going to put their chest out and they're going to bark. So it's the same kind of thing. So I said this to say this, that I think it's a system that's set up, and it's set up so that the older people can't pass wisdom down to the younger people. But it's also indicative of society. Don't we say that art imitates life and life imitates art? So if we're dealing with these societal issues and this person is upset with this parent, or this parent is not in my life, or I don't want nobody to tell me what to do, and everybody's so sensitive, then they're not going to listen and hear when you have something to give them. So I think it's societal. Also, I want to bring this up. So I was watching a Breakfast Club interview, and they were talking to Keith Sweat. And Keith Sweat was talking about how Neo tried to shun him. And he was just like, wait a minute. He said something to Young Buck. He said, Young Buck, let me tell you something. He said, one day you're going to get old and you're going to want the respect in this. And I'm paraphrasing. He said, you're going to want that respect. And I think people don't realize, it's like the Lock said, he said, you're going to be old, he's going to be older way longer than you're going to be younger. So I think people really got to understand this, that divide is deliberate so that you can't pass down knowledge to the young. Why is it that all the popular records, are made by the youth? I'm sorry, that's crazy. Don't the older people have wisdom to give? They have stuff to give, and you can tell them, watch your splits. Make sure you audit the record companies. Make sure you do it. They don't want nobody to hear this because they want to take advantage of them. So, but I don't want to generalize because everybody's not like this. There's people that listen, they want to hear it, but I watch it. But I gotta say, I respect the youth. When it was first transitioning, I was like, this is junk. This is junk. I don't like this junk. Until I sat down at the MPC and I trilled I trilled a hi-hat, and I was like, wait a minute. This is what the young boys be doing. And then I started learning how to make the trap music. I don't do it as much, but I can do it. So I was like, ain't nothing. And then as a teacher, I know I'm not trying to, as a teacher, I invited my students in. So during lunch, they would come in with their laptops and Fruity Loops, and they would sit there and they would make beats. I would even throw pizza parties and have people come in and they'd be making beats. And as they're making beats, they're doing the music for the students. So they have an opportunity that wasn't afforded to us. And what I mean by that is, when we were young, we looked at the TV, we looked at the magazines, we're like, how do I get that? How do I get this? These guys say, oh, I'm gonna take my laptop, pirate this program. After I pirate this program, I'm gonna learn how to make these beats and do this stuff. And I have to say, it really has evolved and it's something different. But I think when you have the societal issues coming into play, and then when you have music things coming into play, it all gels into one. So the young heads don't want to listen to the old heads, like, I can't get nothing through to these young heads. I got something to give. Don't consider me washed up. And I think I want someone to talk about this. People want to go from new. Why do we got to discard what we got so much and go to the new so much? Don't you know you burning yourself out? Because by the time you always searching for new, I need new. I'm sorry, there's some old classic cars. They're good. Give me a classic car. They're worth money. Wine is better when you're at more age, the more it ferments, wine gets better. I'm sorry. Look at Nas's run. Come on now.
Yeah,
King's
King's Disease 3.
Come on.
King's
now.
Disease 3 is fire.
Come on
But
now.
King's Disease 3, 2, 1, and Magic, and those 4 album runs is when an old school guy comes together with a new school producer, and they join forces to use their talents. But continue before I add mine.
No, and that's what I'm trying to say. And why can't we all work together? Why can't we, You know, like I'm not trying to dominate the young, and I don't want to. Even when I teach, I tell them, I say, y'all, I say, I want to be honest with you. I can learn just as much from you as you can learn from me. But we gonna make sure there's some authority up in here, you know.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
There's some authority up in here, but I think it's a lot of things at play, and I think a lot of us fall subject to all of the wheels that are in motion. That's it for me.
Hey, everybody that's just watching, big shout out to Infinite Talks podcast. He dropped a dope comment. He says, at the end of the day, creativity can't be stopped and shouldn't be stopped. That's what's up. Big shout out to you. Big shout out to all my homies up in Laredo, Texas. You heard? All right, here's my 2 cents, and I'll add it with 3 cents, 3 quick points. Number one, if anybody just watching this for the first time, this is episode 4 of the Making Better Track Show. I am your host, Khalif Wins. I am joined with YouTubers and content creators, Dccarsonmusic, as well as Civil Days Music. Follow them now. All that information is in the description. Support content creators doing their thing. Yeah, they really cheering in the back. Anyway, 3 points. I'll start here. Number one, if I was 16 and I saw the vitriol that a lot of old heads are giving younger producers, I would be sounding worse than the young heads right now. I would be so disrespectful. The disrespect from older producers towards younger producers is ridiculous. The dismissiveness, the ego, the elitism, and the gatekeeping. That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say, on the vice versa, when you're young, we act out when we were young. We all been there. If you say you didn't been there, you are lying to the world. And I've seen vitriol coming from the young producers to the old producers. But people coming at people is from misunderstanding. That leads me to my third point and the solutions that I'm about to bring right now, and I want everybody to check out before we catch the other end. Check out these solutions. Here we go. Let's check out these solutions. Here's some solutions for both generations. Number one, work together to learn more skills from different perspectives. Stop beefing, both generations, old producers, new producers. Let's stop beefing and listen, forget your perspective. Let's work together and learn skills from different perspectives. Next, stop wasting time trying to talk down to another generation, whether you young or you old, and let your work speak for itself. Real talk. You see all these comments online. NPC producers or older producers, oh, FL Studio, this and that and the other. Younger producers, all old head, boom, bap. Everybody talking too much. Let your work speak for yourself, both generations. Other solutions for both generations. If you're around a producer who's always trying to be negative to other generations, I messed up that writing, forgive me. Shut it down in its tracks. If you old and there's some old head producers around, if they just start hating on younger producers, shut it down. We create our environments. Just shut it down as soon as you see it. Another solution, try using the other generation's gear to make 30 tracks for 30 days. Let me tell you something. You can't criticize something if you ain't try it, right or wrong. You can't criticize nothing if you ain't try it. Try using the other generation's gear to make 30 tracks in 30 days. To all these NPC or older producers or hardware producers, buy FL Studio. Real talk, it's investing in it. It's another tool, right? Make beats in it for 30 days. There's YouTube videos you can study. To younger producers, hey, invest in an MPC One or get like a Machine Micro. Start from there. Try using other generations' gear for 30 days to make 30 tracks. Next solution, success leaves clues. Each generation should read articles and look at interviews of producers from opposite generations, explaining their production process to learn more techniques. I repeat, success leaves clues for the older generation. Success leaves clues for the younger generation. Each generation should read articles or even look at video interviews of producers explaining their production process to learn more techniques. To older producers, I'll start there because I am of that same age bracket and I'm getting tired of seeing the hate from the old heads to the young heads. From old producers, look at Metro Boomin livvideos on the internet. Look at Internet Money videos on the internet. Look at all those videos on the internet. Really look at those videos, study them. Look at Taz Taylor videos. Look at Kenny Beats on YouTube. Look at DJ Payne 1 videos. Look at all the videos. Look at J. Cole's cookup videos. Type in producer cookup or producer name cookup of young producers, old producers, who are stuck on hardware. You will be amazed at the miracles that you will see FL Studio do. It's a tool. The MIDI is ridiculous. The same MIDI that the old producers use by setting up MIDI chords. Y'all know them chords. You know what I'm saying? MIDI out, MIDI through, MIDI in. It's just different MIDI. It's the same tools advanced. Younger producers, before you start hating on old producers, all I want to hear is boom bap. Look at Metro Boomin. He's, like we talked about this in shows before, he's implemented an MPC 2000 XL into his workflow to add to his arsenal. I repeat, add to his arsenal. So younger producers, get an old piece of gear and learn it. You only get better with your skill. To younger producers, the same thing. And let's go to further solutions. Final thought for both generations. We can all learn something from each other in each generation. Stop beefing and hating on each other online. Second final thought for both generations, old and new. Arguing and downplaying each other is wasted energy and a wasted collab opportunity. Do you understand that burning bridges is really a thing? Do you understand that gatekeeping will destroy your opportunities, whether you older or you younger? If you burn a bridge, like I always say, there's 6 degrees of separation. For every 6 people that Daysun knows, somebody knows me or heard of me. For every 6 people that DC knows, same thing goes. Same thing for me. Stop arguing and downplaying each other on the internet, because guess what? As soon as the older producer, the younger producer gets a particular amount of success, you will be blocked from open doors because he hate. And last but not least, final thought, music production is a sport and we should all be playing to win. Playing to win. This is a sport. My favorite sport on the entire planet is MMA, whether it's UFC, Bellator, One Championship. Why? Because athletes spend 6 weeks to 8 weeks training on multiple skills to meet in an octagon and utilize those skills to win a fight. If you're a young producer, if you're an old producer, we are all accumulating skills so we can do what we love and make a livable income. If you're not trying to make a business out of your production, that's another conversation entirely. But if you are, music production is a sport and we should all be playing to win and working with each other. There shouldn't be this old versus young hate debate. I want everybody's input on what I just said regarding solutions. Do you have some solutions to share?
I'm gonna say just from a mindset standpoint, like I taught at University of Alabama, Birmingham, ROTC for 2 years. And I had the freshmen, ironically. So it's that age group we're talking about. And I realized is that my goal wasn't, I always told them, I said, my goal is not to tell you what to think, it's to teach you how to think. It's to do critical thinking, creative thinking, and problem solving. So I think that the solution comes to that point is that if I'm older, I'm asking young people how to navigate the social media because you can't touch them on that. I'm asking them how to navigate the computer. I'm asking them how to navigate Fruity Loops. I'm asking them how to navigate, all these different sites where people listen to music because you can't touch that. But if I'm old, if I'm younger, I would sit back and tell them, do you want to know how it is back in the day? Go buy your 4-track and do your music completely on that. And you'll come back and realize that why there's such a passion of what it was. I put the equivalent to, do y'all remember how like we got microwave popcorn, but most of us didn't have microwaves growing up? Remember Jiffy Pop?
Yeah, I remember
that. I put it over there and then pop.
I used to burn myself.
I'm not hating on the microwave because I hate doing the Jiffy Pop. And I think that's we as older, some of the things that we did have is different. So I would sit back and say those are great solutions. The headspace is talk. Why not just meet and have a cup of coffee? Why not just meet and find an older producer? Hey, you can get with Frank or Daysun or myself, get offline and say, hey, can I FaceTime you? Can you tell me how some stuff goes? Because y'all see I have the older stuff in here. When I have young cats come over, they are always just like floored. And they're like, wow, that's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. Because they have heard about it, but they never touched it. And when they realize, they go, wow. Or when I play something through tape, they go, wow. It is a difference. But then when they sit there and show me stuff, so that's all I sit back and would say is that the main thing is build a relationship. And the final thing I'm gonna say to us older people, we gotta be Yoda. We gotta be Yoda. We gotta be to a point. Think about it. Yoda didn't always give the answer. He help them lead to an answer. We gotta be Mr. Miyagi with them. We gotta start. And we have to start looking at it. It's not that necessarily we're peers on one thing, but we got life experience that are mentoring. So that's my mindset is always when somebody comes in, I will ask them a question, and it's a question that will lead them to challenge what they believe, to lead, and even if it's true what they believe, to lead them to truth. So that's going to be my solution is conversations, and older people become Mr. Miyagi, be Yoda.
That was fire. This is why I love working with other creators. You heard? That is a bar. For real.
I also like to add, that was great. I also like to add that sometimes, and I'll look at it, so as a teacher, they often tell you to make a mistake. They often tell you to act like you don't know the answer. And the reason you do that is because you want someone else to give you the answer. Sometimes we got to realize that we have to be the student, even though we're a certain age. Let us be the student. I'm telling you, when I watch producer grind videos and I see how they reverse those samples, flip those samples, add those effects to those samples, I'm like, woo, I'm learning that. I'm going to go into Machine. I'm going to go into Ableton, and I'm going to use some of those same techniques and learn. I'll sit there and learn. Sometimes I got to be the student. They got the skills. So sometimes it's like we talk about transactions, but sometimes we got to give them their flowers too. You know, everything about the young generation ain't bad, you know. So we got to, lift up what's good. I'm going to tell you what's bad, but I'm going to lift up what's good as well. When you're doing something good, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to praise you about it. And I watch a lot of these Fruity Loops tutorials. I watch a lot. I can't do Fruity Loops for nothing. So if I had to use Fruity Loops, I'd be screwed. But I will tell you that piano roll production.
Yes, indeed.
I want Ableton to constantly go in that direction. I want to be able to do my bass and can be able to see where my chords are, so I can just drop the bass in right there. And then, come on now. The effects and the things that, like I said, they'll turn a sample on its side 10, 12 times and then have it going backwards and all this other stuff. So, a video's coming about that soon.
Yeah,
reversing
samples. You better say that. Do you see why you should collab with more creators? Everybody support Dccarsonmusic and Daysun Civildaysmusic. Links in description. Support these creators. And if you love my content, hit up my Cash App at $ Khalif wins, or hit my link in the description. Listen, this is what I'm talking about. Like, with DC would have a conversation, get on FaceTime. That's a bar. Daysun, we all learn from our mistakes and things of that nature, and the benefits and the tools. That, again, I'm sorry, I'm related everything to MMA because I just grew up slap boxing, and maybe it's a New York thing, but whatever. Like, growing up in the hood, you will learn. Like, again, this may not be for everybody. This conversation is not in talking about violence. It's talking about protection and learning protection. I will go to East New York, learn skills. I will go to Brownsville, learn skills. Then I will go back to Bed-Stuy / Crown Heights and learn skills and go back home, because it was a war zone growing up in the 90s in New York. But it was skills attained, and guess what happened? In order to learn, I got beat up in East New York a couple of fights to learn how to fight better. I got beat up in Brownsville a couple of times to learn how to fight better. I got beat up in Crown Heights to learn how to fight better. But I acquired skills. Failure is data, so you can assess, learn, and grow. Producers, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to get at each generation for what I've seen online because I've done the research. I was fighting this topic. Both of these creators know I did not want to talk about this topic because I didn't want to see people with useless conversation going in the comments trying to stoke the fire. I hate ageism. Let me explain why. I started taking production seriously later in my life. I am in my 40s, right? When I was younger, I was doing my thing. And when I was in my 20s, doing my thing. I had different goals. I wasn't trying to get famous. I was trying to get the bag. You want this beat? $300 exclusive. I was just money-minded. I wasn't trying to get famous. I was trying to do hand-to-hand exchanges like I did hand-to-hand exchanges growing up in New York. If you know, you know. Using my pharmaceutical background, you heard? If you know, you know. I just want to sell a beat, flip the work, make it. Hey, you want it? Great. Boom, new sneakers for me. You want it? Great. Oh, boom, I can help pay my mother's bills. That's the type of producer I was. I wasn't trying to get famous for a long period of time. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this, and I love my horn. That's what makes me unique. Maybe it's from Brooklyn. I just like the horn. All right, whatever. So point is this. Let's start with the vitriol that I've seen from older producers who are in our age group. Let's start there. Older producers, listen to what they said. Be Mr. Miyagi. Be Yoda. Stop trying to be Darth Vader. Stop trying to destroy the resistance or destroy the evolution and trying to take it over and act like you know everything. Because here's the secret. We all, young and old, don't know everything, right? Like Daysun said, like, as a teacher, and I remember being a vocational trainer from that education. But actually, you know what's crazy? All three of us are educators. Let's give it up for that. I forgot our backgrounds. All three of us are educators and trainers. Whoa. DC Carson, thank you for your service. Military experience, decades of military experience. You know, Daysun, cybersecurity and training and teaching experience, and me, vocational training for recently incarcerated people and just gang members throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City for 16 years. We're all educators. And one thing that educators have in common, you don't know who's gonna be in that classroom when the semester starts. And every time new people come in your classroom, guess what we all have to do as educators? Mind you, this conversation is for older producers first and young producers. We what? Icebreakers fill out the room, but you have to get your respect every room. I don't care. And make it known that you are here for something. DC's different. It's the military. They have a different procedure about getting respect. You gonna respect it whether you like it or not. You heard? But the point is, we all gain the respect in the room. So listen, older producers, you have two choices after you watch this show. You can either continue to create negative commentary that's adding to the dark side. You know, I'm a Star Trek dude, not a Star Wars dude. No offense to anybody else. I'm Star Trek. But you can either feed the negativity that's not going to help your paper, not help your skill set, or you can share knowledge. And I like the way Daysun said it. Be a student, old producers. If you're a fighter, the old school fighters, Anderson Silva from UFC, he just got getting put in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, I'm a big UFC fan if you know the vibes. He was put in the Hall of Fame, but he always is a lifelong student of martial arts. Martial artists are lifelong students, no matter if they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and on. Older producers continue to be a student. Now, let's get to younger producers. You also have a choice when you watch this video. You can say, man, these three old dudes, I see the grain in hand. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what the FL life is about. Great. If we don't know about it, put us on. If we don't know about particular questions you want to ask, put it in the comments. You have two choices, older or young. You're either going to take this information, grow with it, and try to grow a producer of your other generation, or you're going to stay broke. Because last I checked, when I was a pharmaceutical rep in Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? You know, back then when I was, in the streets, I would say this. Hate messes up your bag. Starting beef messes up your financial opportunities. Younger producers and old producers, if you choose the path of hating on people, you're gonna mess up your bread and your connections, because guess what? The way to get power in any industry, and I'm not talking about power by being in control, the way to get paid, the way is to network. Because anytime, let's say Daysun or DC's like, yeah, I'm doing business. When they kick it off, when their channels blow up, and when my channels blow up, and we have 3 blown up channels, somebody, content creator, comes along and I'm gonna ask them, hey, Daysun, DC, do you know about this creator? What's about him? Let's say somebody really got at Daysun negatively, hating. You ain't gonna be on my show. Because relationships are everything. They're power. If you're an older producer and you diss a younger producer, that younger producer can unlock a sync licensing deal that'll change your financial life. And your wife looking at you like you stupid for messing up that bag, being a hater. To younger producers, you hating on an old producer, that old producer might be connected and have been around. He might have been part of a street team with your favorite producer in the music industry. You never know. 6 degrees of separation, people. Let's get into some comments before we get to this transition, because I have something great I want you to get a part of. Infinite Talks Podcast. Everybody follow, subscribe on Spotify. I was a guest on this show. He has awesome frequency. He says, be yoga, be Yoda, be Mr. Miyagi. That's a fact. Thank you, sir. He says, I like the recommendations. He also says, I like the point of views you guys are sharing. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Everybody give it up to Infinite Talks Podcast with Eric Castillo. He has a great podcast straight out of Texas, but it's worldwide. He interviews people and talks about the frequency of success. How did you get out of this situation? Why are you the way you are? It's a success-based podcast. He's not going to talk about it. Follow and subscribe to it on Spotify. I was a guest in the show. Here to guest. Listen, as a content creator, as a music producer, we need to feed our mind. Which dog wins the fight? The dog that you feed the most. I need a podcast like that to feed my mind. I like DC's content on Facebook and now coming over to YouTube because it relies in headspace, and he has a military mindset that helps me become better. I like speaking to Daysun because he has a form of overt analytical minds like I do. I'm an analytical person, and he can hit me with some analogies that'll make me think in different ways, but I learn and grow from these creators, and you should follow Dccarsonmusic, links in description, and support his channel, Civil Days Music, Daysun, links in description. Support his creators. Don't just get content for us. In order for us to create new content, support each of us individually, links in descriptions. Again, for people to be like, oh my God, he plugging. Yes, oh my God, we plugging because we love to do what we want to do, but we about our business, you heard? So I want to get to something real fun. Don't laugh at me. Let's go. Now, you guys are probably going to love this. What do you think are the best VSTs of all times? Whoa. Whoa. No, guys, this is how I am naturally. There's no chemicals in me. This is how I am naturally. What, in your opinion, or you feel are the best VSTs of all time? Now, I came up with this because I saw a great article in gearnews.com. Everybody go to gearnews.com. They add some other sense. I chose what I think are the best VSTs of all time. I want to hear from Daysun. I want to hear from DC Carson real quick. So what are the best VSTs of all time? I like this. The Triton Extreme. If you have a Triton, DC has the original OG Triton. I always tell them, like, bro, get the VST too. Sell the hardware. I know you don't want to sell it, but this is a fire VST because it not only comes with Triton, it comes with the Triton Extreme sounds. And if you grew up in the 90s and are over 40, you remember, man, my friends used to try to rob people for money just to get this VST. Sorry, I have a pass, don't we all? To get the hardware version. But this is on my top VSTs of all time. And mind you, I want to get DC's VSTs and Daysun's VSTs. Second, Omnisphere. You can try to hate on this all you want. You can say that it's overran and overused, but the great thing about Omnisphere, I'm a sound designer. You can upload your own patches, upload your waveforms, and create your own synths, and it has a great effects library. It's a CPU hog, though. It is a CPU hog, so you better get your RAM up and your SSD up and your CPU up. Next, the Complete Ultimate Collection. A lot of people might not think it's lit, but I'm telling you, I love their acoustic. Ooh. Grammar. Khalif wins grammar. The acoustic section, the effects section, and the guitar pedal section, I like Complete Ultimate. Serum. If you don't know about Serum, you need to find out, download a trial, go to Splice, go to Rent-to-Own, and download a trial. I'm telling you, the sonic measures that you can go with Serum is a great location. Arturia Pigments. If you don't know about Arturia Pigments, download the trial and act like I'm lying. Great VST. I think it should be in the top VSTs all time, and I got some of these VSTs from the gearnews.com article that you should check out on the topic. UHE Diva, the analog monster. Now, again, if you grew up around analog synthesizers and you know that warmth and that feel, this is a great VST to invest in, so you don't have to be paying $4,000 for some ridiculously heavy and big analog gear, and have it in your laptop or have an alternative. This is a great alternative. Vital Audio. Now, for those who don't know about Vital Audio, it's one of the best free software synths. I think they're for sale now, but I don't know what the current sales rate is. If you don't know, remember the Access Virus synth? That's my favorite synth in the world. This is kind of like the VST version of the Access Virus synth, and pardon me, correct me if I'm wrong, I know this from reading up on it. You can download virus presets into this and use virus presets into this VST. If you don't know about Access Virus, do me a favor. After you watch this video, go to the YouTube and type in Access Virus pads. Pad sounds. The lushness of a virus is in this Vital Audio synth right here. This is a great synth. I think it should be up there with the greatest VSTs of all time. Sugar Bites Apparillo. If you don't listen, look at Sugar Bites Apparillo, look at Sugar Bites effects areas. I think that Sugar Bites is slept on when it comes to VSTs. Download the trial and see if I'm lying. Next, Kilohertz Phase Plant. A lot of people talk about this, but since this is more modular, again, I'm a sound design dude. I have sound packs, for sale and things of that nature. I'm revamping my sound store, but we ain't talking about that now. We talking about this. This is great if you love sound, if you're not trying to sound different, if you're really trying to build your sounds. Now, again, if you want the Rompler type of effect, I said some Romplers like the Triton, Omnisphere, so on and so forth. But Kilohertz Phase Plant are for those like me who like to create their own sonic palette. What's your top 5 VSTs? Let's talk, fellas. I'm going to let y'all go. Go in. Talk to me.
Whoa. Let's see. I really like the Spitfire Labs. Spitfire Labs. They have the BBC Symphony Orchestra. They have a lot of great instruments. Of course, on the effects side, I like the Auto-Tune suite. They have like Harmony Engine, things of that nature, where you can do like vocals, and it can, have the other vocals. Like if there's a C chord, you can have one in C, one in E, and one in G, just to give that harmony. I also I love the Arturia series. I always wanted Omnisphere. Can't afford it. I definitely want the Key series, Key Space, and all the other stuff like that. So, but Arturia makes some amazing effects and amazing keys. I love that. Before that, prior to that, it was XLN Audio.
Oh wow! I haven't heard that in a minute.
Was killing it with the drums. Ilmai, when he was using the drums, I don't know why I'm forgetting the name of the program.
Is it the what is it? The oh my god, is it the easy MIDI, easy drums?
Superior.
Say it again.
Superior.
Not Superior drums. It was another one. I can't remember. Addictive drums. There you go. Addictive drums. That's it. Ilmai was killing that. Then of course, that I use Machine. So, and everything that comes with Machine, it is a VST. So I do love it. What else can I think of?
Well, I'll say this to help clarify your thought. What are your go-tos? If your go-tos, like your top go-tos, I'll say this was the example I use. I talked about this with DC. When I think about production, I think about it as a fighter, because I've been in a situation where somebody's like, yo, come to a studio session. Somebody wants to hear your tracks, and then you go there, play your tracks. They don't like what you played, and you got to make one on the spot. What are your go-to VSTs if you were in a situation where you had to make something for somebody on the spot?
I'm gonna tell you like a real nice piano. I love Alicia's keys. I thought it was really tight.
That is a tight. Go ahead. That is a. You got me excited.
I haven't found many that kind of match that, especially because I use a lot of stock as well. If I had to, I've always wanted the Trillion bass.
Word.
So I love to hear Trillion. I love it. But I'm telling you, the Scarby Rickenbacker bass, that's my bass right there.
Mm-hmm.
From Native Instruments. And yeah, I go to Spitfire Labs for all the synths and things of that nature, leads, and that's probably my go-to. Yeah, there's other things here and there that I experiment with, but
thanks for sharing. Before we get to DC's comment, Infinite Talk says, when I was making beats back in the late 90s and early 2000s, all I had was the Korg Trinity. Now I have a whole studio in my phone. That's the beauty.
Thank you. We've been talking about, going back to old technology. But what about that guy that produced for Kendrick? And he did everything on
GarageBand. GarageBand.
He did the vocals. He did the keys. He did everything in GarageBand, and you cannot tell that was done on a cell phone.
But you know why? You know why? What does DC always say? Dccarsonmusic. Everybody follow him now. Support his channel now. I'm a big up my friends. Support Civil Days Music. Yes. Watch his videos. Share his videos. Support his channel. Buy him a cup of coffee. If you like my content, hit the link in the description, support my channel. I'm gonna plug my friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna plug them. Sorry. DC Carson always says, because you have to master your production instrument.
Yeah.
DC?
Well, here's a little known secret. Out of all this stuff I have, almost all of my songs start off in an iPad with Cubase 3. And I use the chord thing, just like Infinite say, I use the chord, all that whole suite. I use the sample tank. I use a ton of stuff. Almost everything starts because it's just so quick to just get up running. I got an NPK 61, and I can just get in there and do stuff. And the cool thing about Cubase is that it's time stretches also. So I'm a decent guitar player, but sometimes I play it fast. But that warping is when you set it at pro, man, it is. I can speed it up and pitch and see where I want to get before I bring it in here. So I would say that. Now, as far as what we do in the Mac in the studio, it's a reason why it's number one. It's a reason why it's called Complete. And that is my number one go-to. And I'm going to tell you, for beat makers, battery. You cannot sleep on doggone battery. I'm here to tell you, as far as the emulations, like it's got an MPC 60 in there, and it's got a 1200, and then the mastering and stuff. Let me tell y'all. But Daysun, you know, you kind of got that machine as well. But I mean, battery.
Yep.
Dude, I'm here to tell y'all. I mean, and as far as I might have machine in there, like right next to it, could complete with batteries in there with machine. It's because the sounds, like you're not talking about that, Frank. The doggone sound packs that coming in with machine, come on, lights out. I'm here to tell you.
But hold on, Daysun don't like them expansions. Is that right?
What's that?
I can't hear you, Daysun.
Which ones?
I'm not doing that.
It's a couple.
I'm not infringing on sponsorship opportunities. We are not going to hate.
It's a lot I like.
Right.
Sorry, I just blew it. Listen, I'm gonna blow myself up. I don't like a lot of Akai's expansions. I'm not gonna hold you. I make better sounds than a lot of the expansions. But listen, if I put Daysun out there, I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm sorry. Keep on going, DC. I'm sorry.
All right, well, add me in there because I don't use the drum sounds in my MPCs. I've used my own. I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah.
They're not bad in there, and they're absolutely usable. But for me to grab something and go, like their kits just have one or two sounds, and the rest is just like, what the heck? This doesn't flow with this. And then so I might as well construct it myself. That's how I feel about it. I think they can do some stuff. If I want a drum kit, I don't need all the other sounds, and I just wanted to have drum kits. Give me an instrument to put all the other stuff in there. All right, so I say complete with emphasis on battery, and I had machine right there within it, which I kind of include that in complete. I definitely would say that you know, the rolling cloud is fire to me. I mean,
yeah. DC trying to sell me on that. I'm not gonna lie, and it's looking attractive. That Zenology is looking attractive.
It's all right. MI3 is gonna be tied between that and then the chord pack, because I mean, with the Triton and the Wave Station and all of that kind of stuff in there, it's just phenomenal. So I use that. Arturia, I use that a lot. There's some things in there, so that's gonna be 4, 5. I play with Trillion, but I'm gonna tell y'all, don't sleep on the IK Media, like the Moto bass, the new one, or the drums. Man, listen to what I'm telling y'all. Y'all know I'm playing for my gear. That Moto bass and the Moto drums. Like if you take that and put some old school lo-fi effect on it with big reverbs and delays and stuff, I mean, just like think about the drums that you hear from the beginning, straight out of Compton. You can do that in Moto drums. And I might do a video on how to do it.
Not might, you will. Not might, you will. Sorry.
I will do it, because trust. But at the end of the day is, I think with all that, but I would also tell people, don't sleep on what you find in, and side note, when a young cats tell me about Fruity Loops, I saw the first Fruity Loops. But again, I saw the first Pro Tool when I was in Nashville. So I've seen a lot of this stuff was hands-on before it was even released.
Remember Digital Performer? Remember Digital Performer?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of that stuff. So I've seen it because from like inception and and why. But anyway, I would say don't sleep. The thing my advice would give, that I've given you my 5 VSTs, that don't sleep on the stuff that's in Logic or the stuff that's in Cubase or the stuff that's in Fruity Loops and stuff. It's workable. You might have to layer it and stack it. But you might have to do it. And then my side note, kind of going back to the conversation we had earlier before I relinquish the throne to awesome Khalif, is that I would tell older producers to make music. Don't be afraid to sometimes make music with your eyes, but the younger producers, don't be afraid to make it with your ears. Because remember, back in the day, there was no waveforms. It was freaking tapes, and you saw where the doggone counter was. So don't be afraid. But I'm telling you, there's so much stuff in there between your phone. You literally could do it in GarageBand.
Mm-hmm. I made a whole. Somebody's phone's playing. I made a whole. We live. Don't hate. We live. You seen how I spelled generation in that last time? We live. Anyway, I'll say this. You guys have been a blessing in terms of content, because I'm learning from what you're saying. Because what am I learning? I'm learning workflow. Okay, old producers, young producers, let's unite the conversation. Did you see the simple conversation? You see how excited these over 40-year-old men got, pause, about the topics about software and synths? Do you see that? Old head producers that watch their fellow old heads? Yes, we're considered old heads because of our physical age, but our mind are students. I literally did not know about the Moto Bass and IK Multimedia, but I remember seeing it because I've always wanted to buy the Total Max 3.5 package because I like the mix box. If anybody don't know about Mixbox, that's a good mixing plugin suite that comes with the Total Max IK Multimedia. And by the way, IK Multimedia, Native Instruments, Akai, we're 3 content creators. Why don't you let us try some of your gear? We'll put it on the channel. Check out the numbers and the analytics if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Thing else, I got the Total Studio. Dude, I'm telling you, with the Mixbox, the tape, I use the tape like crazy. I put my tape on every single track to give it the warmth. Like it's because I use it like as an analog chain, where you got my preamp, then you got tape, and then so I'm using it, and I'll print the tape. But that Total Max, dude,
yeah.
Oh, everybody, I'm telling you.
And for those, let me add to what he's saying. When he's saying the tape, the Total Max has the Tascam Porta Studio plugins. Listen, if you are an old head producer, you know what we're talking about, the 4 tracks, the 8 tracks, the Porta Studio. They have the plugins. To any old head saying, oh my God, I got the real thing. Yeah, DC got the real thing. If he flip his camera around, his whole house like Guitar Center from 1992, and his house is fire. His gear is fire. But DC knows what happens. We got to clean the tape heads, pause. We got to fix hardware gear. You understand what I'm saying? Total Max from IK Multimedia has a great Tascam Studio, Porta Studio suite. And like he said, again, old head producers, we are excited about gear. Younger producer watching this, you may have learned just like I've learned just now, because I didn't think of variations that they're talking about, but it's knowledge. This is a sport. This is what we talk about. This is why you need to subscribe to Khalif Wins, links in description. You need to subscribe to Civil Days Music, links in description. You need to subscribe to Dccarsonmusic, links in description. Subscribe to these 3 different channels that come together like Stream Voltron, the Stream Vengers, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Stream Vengers coming together, you know, because they have content. DC Carson has content on Headspace. Pause. Sorry, pause. I'm around too much young folk. I be saying pause to everything. Hey, it's been a hard raining night. Pause. Hey, yo. Anyway, moving forward. But they're dropping content. DC's dropping content in Headspace. He has great stories and great stratagem, great life advice. And then he's a musician. And let me just tackle on that for a second. I don't know about you, Daysun. I don't know how to play no keyboards at all. From a musician standpoint, DC, when it comes to the original these debates, from a musician standpoint, because yes, you played hip hop music, but you were a musician first of different styles. How silly or valid do you believe these old head versus young head arguments are from a musician, and a beat maker, but primarily a musician standpoint? Please share.
I think it's a waste of time. I think that you can do it. Now, little known fact, to most people, I can play about 20 different instruments. I mean, I can literally play everything that's in the orchestra.
Mhm.
I played the violin younger and stuff like that, and I realized at the end of the day at the end of the day, regardless of what your age, it is a man become. It's like when you are a race car driver, it's man and machine, or
Mhm.
man with instrument, and it's becoming one. So why do I need to take away, for example, why am I if I'm getting ready to go home and make love to my woman, why am I arguing with you?
Oh my God. Oh my. Yeah.
And music is love. So my thing is going through all that. Like, for example, there are people that got older guitars that sound great. That people got new guitars. Drum kits. That people, drummers sit there. I have an argument with drummers. I use e-drums. Do I can afford real drums? Why? Because I don't feel like doggone having to tune stuff and all that kind of stuff over and over and over. And though it might not have necessarily the feel, I can work it. The same thing with bass, the same thing with all that. But at the end of the day is that if you fighting, you're not loving. And if you're fighting, you're not making your music. Because all that energy in you, it's just clouding you. So I would sit back and say, cut all that debate out. At the end of the day is agree to disagree and make your music.
And everybody, DC Carson has these cover songs, these instrumentals dropping where he's gonna show the process of creating a track from a musician and a beat making standpoint, and he's gonna do great videos on MPC 3000 production, ASR production. Please subscribe to his channel now. Links in description. Last question regarding this, Daysun. I always, and you notice me, I asked DC about his experience. From your experience, especially within cybersecurity, especially as your educator, and everybody, the reason I'm asking them specific questions because there's a value in great friendships. They know stuff I don't know. they know stuff I don't know. And since I'm really big about strategy and I'm a strategist, I was studying the art of war and the I Ching since I was a kid. Whatever way works, if there's a different strategy, I want to learn because I'm a student. So Daysun, from a cybersecurity aspect, because in cybersecurity, you guys are consummate problem solvers. You guys are consummate, you put out fires. There's not just one door, you create doors. You show people how to watch and close particular doors. From a strategic standpoint in production, what do you think will really be great strategies for older producers and younger producers to implement with that mind from your experience? Look at my Brian Gumble question up in there. Give me props.
Well, I look at it like this. Like in cyber, we all know technology. I will say every month technology is changing because it's, on record, it says every 3 to 6 months technology is changing. Look at how many VSTs come out on a weekly basis, So my thing is, in cyber, you must always be alert. You must always be aware. You got to look at the trends. You have to be very analytical. You have to not just look at the past, you have to look at the future. There's things such as 0-day attacks. And when they come, you may not know what to do. So you have to train like a boxer. These are the steps that we're going to have in place to do this so that things become muscle memory. And sometimes you got to step outside the box. You can't stay like, I hate to say this because I feel like I'm going to talk about some of the legends that I love. I know what got you there, but sometimes you got to try something new and do something new because it may give you something new. But at the same time, when I hear a certain sound, I love that sound. But what you got to be open, you got to be aware. You must always be evolving. You can still hold on to your roots, but still like try things new. It's kind of like going out when you go out. I'm the type that I'll try something new. I like what I like, but sometimes I'm like, I just got to step out the box and try something new. And then trying something new, it just makes you more aware. That's why I watch these young guys all the time. I love what they're doing. I love the beats they're making. I love the sonics that they're doing. I love how they can take, and this is what people don't realize, it is still the same thing. They can take 12 sounds and give all of it its own space. They know how to mix. They know how to video edit. They are consummate content creators. And I also want to give shout out to 2 VSTs, Ripcord and Scalar.
Yo, that's a fact. Because I don't know how to play piano. If you don't know how to play piano, Ripcord and Scalar will show. Sorry, continue, brother. You got me hyped.
Nah, it'll do it for you. And then while you're doing that, here's a young head tip. All right. which is also an old school tip. So I was watching Internet Money, Nick
Mhm.
Mirror, and Nick Mirror said, if you really want to succeed, he said, you learn how to play piano. But he
Mhm.
said, learn how to play in all keys. DC, ain't that what they say? Ain't that what they tell you? He said, learn how to play in all keys. He said, this is what you can do. You learn one key a week. He said, the first week you practice C. Next week you practice D, and you practice all the progressions within that as well. So what I want to say is you got to always be learning, always evolving, because ageism is real. In
Mhm.
cybersecurity, once you hit 40, they think you can't learn anymore. And I learned that at a resume conference. And they said, and this was years ago. I was like 38 when they said, I was like, I'm approaching 40. What the heck? So you always got to keep it. There's always something to learn. We all must be students. And I'm gonna say that's it for me. That's the
I'm
best
not
way
going.
you learn.
That last line right there. Again, I'm into strategy. I'm a content strategist and social media strategist, and I like strategy because there's not one door. When you said the line, you say it one more time. You said at 40. What did they say in cybersecurity? Because we need to touch on that before we go.
They say when you the expectation is that when you turn 40, you can't learn anymore. And that's not true. I've taught seniors technology. I've taught a lot of people at various different age ranges. And when you open their eyes to binary and things of that nature, or me, I'm learning, my daughter's learning piano. You see this piano back here? I can make chords, I can make you think I can play, but I struggle. She's getting it. And while she's learning and her teacher's teaching her, I'm coming right back and I'm practicing as well, because she'll come to me, Daddy, what does this chord mean? What does this do? And I understand theory. I'm just, the mind and the hand has just not, I don't practice enough.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you keep studying, so this young girl is helping me learn piano, so you can always learn from the youth. You're never too old.
Yeah, and there's something in peak performance training. I used to do a lot of peak performance training back in the days. I was in love with anything that Tony Robbins said at his mouth because I'm into strategy, and it's a difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, and that's what you touched on. And some people and some old head producers have a fixed mindset in terms of production workflow, whereas they wouldn't understand the jewels of Nick Mira's YouTube channel. Like real talk, internet money. Old head producers, if you want to learn some great techniques and just open your mind, like he said, study Nick Mira's videos, Taz Taylor's videos. You can, like I'm telling you, like Daysun said, the mastery in FL Studio. Like I'm literally about to purchase FL Studio for one reason and one reason alone, because it has what other DAWs don't: free lifetime updates. Yo, I want to listen. Free. You know how much it costs to upgrade Ableton? You know how much it's going to cost to probably update the MPC 3.0 software? We don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. We're going to have a show when they drop it. We're going to have a show when they drop it. So hopefully they can drop it early before my son is delivered, because I ain't dropping nothing but diapers. I ain't on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah. Lifetime free updates. Yes, please.
Can I add one more thing? Now, I know I've been talking about supporting the youth a lot, but I also want to say, but there's nothing like looking at mature art. There's nothing like looking at mature art, and there's nothing like having someone handhold you and walk you through something. Magic Johnson was talking to this young guy one day, and he told this whole crowd of people, he said, you'll never succeed without a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you'll never get to where you go without a mentor. And I love what the young guy said. He said, will you mentor me? And Magic Johnson said, yes, get with my people. You see, and that's what's missing, the dynamic between us. It used to be a point, and we've all done it. We were like, if I show everybody everything I got, then what am I going to have? I'm going to lose my edge. And I've learned that if you did it once, you can do it again. You can learn something new and change something and develop something else. But I think a lot of us, we're afraid that we're going to be washed out. And I don't like how our art is washed away. You make it 10 years later, oh, that's that old stuff. That's that old stuff. We got to get out of that and respect the creations and the the intellectual property and the things that we've done and where we can build. It's about respecting what has been done before us, because that's what leads the way. And I'll end on this. I always tell my daughter, because we had a conversation about her generation and my generation, and I said, which one is greater, the originator or the innovator? And I said, without the originator, there's no innovation. And I'll leave it on that.
He just threw like a silent dart at the end. I'm playing. But listen, everybody, do you see why I like these co-hosts on this platform? Is because you don't get it just here. When you subscribe to Civil Days Music and you subscribe to Dccarsonmusic, all the information is in the description of this video. You're getting a plethora of information, value, and strategies to become better as a music creator, whether you're an artist or primarily a producer. Follow them now. Support creators now, because we are trying to make this a full-time living doing what we love to do. If you love my content, please hit my Cash App or hit the link in bio to support my channel. Everything's in the description. If you love what Civil Days Music just said, Daysun just said, please subscribe to his channel, but also support his work so we can create more videos. If you love the information that DC is sharing, go into the description, support his work. Don't just follow, support. We're bringing value from 3 different brands coming together just to have a great conversation, and this is what the music production community needs. I'll close on this. Number 1, we've learned a lot here today. I've learned a lot here today. Whether you're an old producer, young producer, I want y'all to focus on really the true enemy. If you're a young producer and you love hip hop and you have your style, and if you're an old producer, you've always loved hip hop and you grew up into it, we can both agree on one thing. Other genres are stealing our genre and getting more money off of it than we are. We can at least we can agree on that, can't we? We can agree on that, can't we? Think about it. Instead of fighting each other, get the bag that pop is taking from our styles. Get the bag that, I don't know if you're familiar with K-pop and J-pop, Korean pop and Japanese pop. They are caking on a high level off of our styles. Stop fighting and start getting to the bag.
And country music too.
And country music, while young and old producers are fighting. Every other genre is like, ooh, I like that. Take that loop that you're fighting over. Oh, it's made by the MPC. Oh, FL is the wave. Stop fighting each other. We all hip-hop producers. Let's get to the bag. I literally want to go over these solutions one more time so we can be clear to everybody to know real quick. Oh, that's not it. Let's remove. Here we go. Here's some solutions for both generations. Work together more to learn skills from different perspectives. Stop wasting time trying to talk down to the other generation and let your work speak for you. If you're around a producer who's always trying to be negative to the other generation, that's how it's supposed to be spelled, we live, whatever, shut it down. Shut down the hate when you see it. Try using the other generation's gear to make 30 tracks for 30 days. Instead of beefing, see the reason why they love it and they rep that gear. Success leaves clues. Each generation should read articles and look at interviews of producers explaining their production process to learn more techniques. And final thought for both generations, we can all learn something from each other in each generation. Arguing and downplaying each other is wasted energy and wasting a collab opportunity. You messing up the bag. Music production is a sport and we should all be playing to win. That's if you're trying to run a business with it. I repeat, music production is a sport and we should all be trying to play to win. And before I break off and say something, I want to just make y'all laugh right quick. Let me get here. Let me remove that. Remove. All right, great. Let me show y'all something right quick. For everybody out there in production land, if you don't have all the money in the world, and yes, you can get some VST plugins. And to the younger producers, maybe you didn't know about this. There's some older producers that don't know about what I'm going to show you. If you want an SP1200 sound for the cheap in a piece of hardware and you want to break away from software, invest in this. This is the Zoom. This joint is the grimiest. It is the littest, cheapest sampler that I have right now, but I used to have. This thing was my SP1200 when I couldn't afford like $2,000. And now the original SPs go for crazy bags and the new ones go for 4 racks. Whatever works You're talking to a man who started making beats on pause tape, multiple cassette decks in the Gemini sampler. You got to use your tools and use it well. Everybody, yeah, unless you have any closing words, if you want to have closing words, share. It's been a pleasure to share the stage with you, gentlemen. I'll give you opportunity for your closing words.
For the young and old, is that you just need to talk and work through it. That's it. And at the end of the day, like, for example, no diss to Pete Rock, but I'm using this as an example. I'm like, versus rather saying that, why not bring in a bunch of young cats and y'all get together to put you an online album that y'all. That right there has a tendency, that right there could change the game. And I do think that sometimes when you're over 40, and I've seen that, because here's the thing, I went to flight school at 33 years old. Average age was 24, 25. Wow. Because a military pilot is so mentally, emotionally, physically grueling, it is no joke. And yet here I'm in the age cutoff was 30, and by the grace of God, I was able to get an age waiver at 33 because your mind and you being able to process stuff as well as physically done. So I was able to sit there with young kids that were the best of the best, because at that time I was flying combat aircraft. And these guys, that everybody in my class was from West Point, which is the best of the best. So all I'm sitting here saying is that, you know, older does not necessarily mean some of us are able to do things, but I would say you need to merge it, because as we merged and we talked about different things, while they were able to learn and they had great learning things, I was able to give them mentorship of how to think and say, hey, you way up here, let's bring it back down, because once you're up here, you're not thinking clearly. And it helped them to get through different things and pass check rides. So that's kind of what I'm saying is old heads out there new, sit together instead of finding out what you don't agree with. I always sit back, you know, in negotiations, that find out what you do agree with. And then from there. And that's all I have to say.
I'm just going to say I don't know it all.
Facts.
And that's the wisest man. We consider the wisest man, Socrates. One of the wisest. He constantly told people that he does not know. And since he does not know, he would go out and search and research. I'm a student. I'm a teacher, but I'm a student. And with me being a student, I want to learn as much as possible. Anything anybody can show me, I'm going to suck it up. Pause.
Hard hey, pause.
Yo, I'm going to try my best to learn it. You know, I had to, but, you know, I'm a student of the game. And, you know, I haven't mastered or gone where I want to go yet. So I'm trying my best to learn as much as I possibly can, as well as give people. I've learned, and I got to give credit to Curtis King. The more you serve, the more you, well, you know, first of all, I'm going to give credit to God, because this is what he says in his word. But then I'm also give credit to Curtis King. The more you serve, the more you give people, the more you learn. And that's an adage of a teacher. The more you teach, the more you give, the more you learn, the more you see your mistakes, and the more you help. So let us all be learners, students, and teachers, so that we can get to where we need to go.
That's what I'm talking about. Listen. Everybody give it up for Civil Days Music and DC Carson in the house. Follow them now. All the information is in the description. But again, we have big goals. Civil Days Music has great content dropping. DC Carson Music has great content dropping. Don't just follow and subscribe, support our channel. Donations go a long way for us to make these videos. All the information is in the description on how you can help us out and support our channels. We are trying to bring real conversation, real discussion, but here's the kicker. There's 3 different brands. I have making better tracks. Civil Days Music has multiple series on different drum machines, and he has more series dropping. Did you know that DC Carson Music has multiple series dropping and great information in the link in bio? Don't just follow and subscribe, support. We are 3 brands coming together to create information, to create discussion. And here's the thing, when you finish watching this video, you can go watch videos from both of these creators. You can go get that knowledge and that information and add it to your palette of tools. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of this. DC, please don't run off after we close this live with this little 5-minute conversation. DC be like, all right, fellas, I'm gone. What should we call it? Everybody have a great one. Welcome to the Making Better Track / Beat Show. Please share this video. Discuss, put your information in the comments. Let's have a robust conversation in the comments. If you try to troll the comments, I'm telling you, I'm going to make a movie out of you. I'm not going to hold you. I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to make a movie out of you. Let's see, we're here for open discussions. Thank you for Infinite Talks Podcast with Eric Castillo for bringing in the comment. Everybody follow him on Spotify. Everybody, don't just subscribe and follow these two creators and myself. Support us. Donations help us make more things for our channel. Everything is in the description. Enjoy the content of these two brothers' pages. Thank you, brother, for adding to the conversation. Have a great one, everybody. Peace.